It's time for the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is Jake Riepma, formerly 97 The Ticket, now with Locked On and fired up for a little Lions Bucs preview. Natalie Kerwin.
Hey, Natalie here with FanDuel Sports Network. The Lions coming off of a tough loss to the Chiefs. The Lions, they made national headlines this week for a couple different reasons. We'll break it all down, and they're not necessarily good reasons. Bradford Banta.
Bradford Banta here, 20-plus year NFL veteran, prime time in Motown. Ford Field is about to roar, gang. Bucs are bringing the blitzes. Baker's bringing the bravado, but we're bringing the grit, the blue-collar fire, and a chip on every helmet. Redemption starts now.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Thanks for hopping on live with us on the live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. Incredible introduction there, both of you guys. We've got an incredible show lined up. Dan Campbell's comments, something a little fishy going on with the National Football League. Can't wait to get your guys' takes on that and everybody's takes. So if you are tuning in live, make sure to fire up that comment section. We'll talk about Brian Branch's suspension as well and what the Lions need to do to get a victory on Monday night. But first, today's episode's brought to you by Prize Picks. It's a crossover Thursday with Prize Picks, and that means you should download the Prize Picks app today and use that code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We're going to throw a little curveball to switch things up here. Nat, we've been starting with you, so I'm kicking it to Bradford Banta first. Good afternoon, Bradford Banta. Are you as fired up as I am? I got your email, drink some coffee. I'm ready to go this morning.
I tell you, I just went straight to Nat's special matcha latte.
You did not. Did you really?
Sugar. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have put it in the email if I wouldn't have. Come on now, let's roll.
You're not BSing me? You went through the Starbucks drive-thru and got my drink order.
Why would I not? If we got to bring the fire, then we got to be a team here. Then let's get ready to roll, Nat. Come on now.
I love this. I didn't even go and get it. I had my normal coffee this morning. So you are one step ahead of me. I love it.
I know what we're doing post-show. Yeah. We got to get ready. Now, hey, look, let's address the issue, what you had talked about before. There's a couple things that we definitely want to talk about in this opening segment. One of them, is Dan stirring the pot a little bit with the NFL offices, and the other one is the Brian Branch suspension. And look, let's address the Campbell statement first. This is me and my statement, and I'll say it. Detroit got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and they're trying to shift a little bit. They probably called the league office and asked them about the play. Did they describe it in detail, in full to the league office? I don't know. I wasn't on the phone call. But it boiled down to execution. And I quoted the rule, I think it's Rule 747, I believe, in the NFL rule book, saying that if a player lines up within 1 yard, which Goff was, and then he goes in motion, he has to come to a complete stop for a full second before the ball is snapped. And the play shows he was in motion, which means he did not come to a complete stop when the ball was snapped. And then he made a fantastic, he actually caught the ball twice, so he may get credit for 2 catches on that one. And then he scored a touchdown after that. That tells me that it was either taught incorrectly or it was executed incorrectly. One of the two. The only one that I know for certain is that it was executed incorrectly. And they were called out. and we had talked about it on the post-game show, the referees or the officials got together because of each one of their duties. They got together, they conferenced, and then the flag was thrown. You can make a hullabaloo about a late flag all you want, but the thing is, they got the call correct, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. So that's where I stand on that. Nat, I kick it to you. What is your opinion? I gave you mine.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions flying around, and we don't know what's right, what's wrong. Dan Campbell's saying one thing, the league office is saying another, the head official is saying another. So we don't know what's the truth, what's not. And that's what's hard about this entire thing, right? And the Lions didn't play good enough to win. That's the bottom line of this whole thing. And the refs did end up getting the call right. And so it's not like that one play changed the outcome of the game. It's not like it came down to the final seconds. The game was tied. That could have changed everything, right? So here nor there, it wasn't life-changing for the outcome of the game. But I think hearing everything that's come out and hearing Dan Campbell being interviewed yesterday on 97 The Ticket, I think the fact that the flag was thrown what felt like an eternity after the play, I believe it was around a minute after the play was done, after the officials came together, it just, something felt off about it. The fact that Dan Campbell confirmed yesterday that he said the league stepped in to review it, and he said the head official came over to him on the sideline and told him that. But then the officials after the game, the head official told the pool reporter in the report, when you read it, that New York didn't get involved. So it's just interesting. Like, why lie about that? Why is there two different stories going on? And so I wanted to make sure I had it right. So I have the bullet points here to make sure I have my facts straight with this too, because it's interesting that there's two conflicting statements going around. And there can be many truths at once looking at this whole situation, right? There can be many things that are true at the same time, but we don't know what's true and what's not. And it's interesting. And Dan was clearly frustrated when you listen to that interview yesterday. And so he said, that's all I'm going to say about it. I can't share anything else, but I think all we're asking for as fans, as media, is that the refs be consistent every game, no matter the opponent, no matter what it is. And it just the circumstances and how it all played out. Yes, they got the call right, but just them calling it a minute later, hearing two different responses, the ref giving Dan Campbell one thing versus the pool reporter another, it just seems off. And that is my opinion on it. I don't think it would have gone, it wouldn't be as blown out of proportion, I don't think, right now, if that head official would have given the pool reporter and Dan the same answer. That's where I stand on it.
100%. And this is great because I'm going to play Switzerland, which is a rarity for me. I'm a very argumentative person. I argue a lot. Just ask my fiance. But on this case, and Natalie, you're so right when you said national news, because this was a topic on the Dallas Cowboys flagship station, 105.3 The Fan, this morning. And I think there are three components to this that all can be true. And here's where my Switzerlandness comes in, where I'm going to just play every single side of all three of those. They got the call right. And I think we're all in agreement with that. Bradford, you said that. Nat, you said that. We're all in agreement. They got the call right. Now, part number two, with the league stepping in, I think it sets a dangerous precedent, or not even dangerous, but it sets a precedent that isn't necessarily done. And the argument that I had with this morning was, yes, all scoring plays are reviewed, but they're not reviewed under a microscope scanning where was there a penalty? Was there a penalty? And that's what this felt like. And the discrepancy between Craig Wrolstad, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's the league official, the discrepancy in his account for it compared to Dan Campbell's, something's not adding up. But we don't know where and when and who's telling the truth and whatnot. We just know that they're very different accounts. And I think from a league integrity standpoint, that is a very, very important issue moving forward. And the third one is I think we hit on it enough post-game Sunday night, that the Chiefs are what they are. There's always going to be the memes on the internet of Mahomes getting the calls and everything. So that it compounds the issue when it's against the Kansas City Chiefs, where here's an instance where the league stepped in, according to Dan Campbell. According to the official, the league didn't step in, which again, the disconnect there is concerning. So I think all three things are a part of this. I think they got the call right. I don't know if it was necessarily executed properly in terms of what the process is. And the third part of that is there's some discrepancy between Dan Campbell's account and lead official Craig Wrolstad's account. Bradford.
Yeah. So look, so in situations like this, I think that the league should, before the white hat, the head official, is released to speak to the, what do they call it, to the media, correct? Whenever he was asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that somebody in media relations should brief Wrolstad before, well, and should be league wide, should brief that official, whoever is going to speak to the press pool, and be like, hey, these are questions that are going to be asked to you. Formulate an answer that, that is appropriate. And, because you're talking about heat of the moment situation that occurred on the field, these officials, and I don't know the timeline whenever Wrolstad is speaking with the press pool. But somebody from the league office should get a hold of him, be like, hey, I want to prepare you for questions that are going to be asked of you, so you have some idea of the answer that you're going to be given. Because I guarantee you, anybody from teams that are walking up to the podium, they've already been briefed on possible questions that could be asked of that particular person. And I'm not sure that the officials are.
Right.
They may just be, quote unquote, thrown to the wolves.
Yeah,
so
it's
to
my
speak.
understanding though, the question and answer or session with the head official is not open to the entire credentialed media, which that was another part of the discussion. And I hate to just, say, oh, here's what we talked about earlier, but I think that's an important part of it too. It's not every single credentialed media that has an opportunity to just Q&A, spitball, fire questions. It's isn't it a little bit more of a controlled, calculated environment?
That's my understanding. Y'all would know better than I would, because I haven't been in that position, right? Just talking about media or officiating, to whenever, they're ushered into, if they are ushered into a room. I don't know what y'all lead the insight on this one.
Yeah, I think, at least from my experience, at least in the NBA, when there's controversial calls and, one of the beat reporters, at least with the Pistons, gets a chance to go and talk with the head official, there's usually only one or two of our beat reporters that get to go and talk. So I believe it's the same kind of scenario with the NFL too. And I would think it's across any league, NHL, MLB, it's the same kind of instance. So I really do think it's only one or two. But I think in this case, it only looked like it was one. When I was reading the pool report, it said, it made it sound like there was one reporter that asked Craig this question. So it's hard to say, but I believe it was one.
Yeah, for the NHL, it's the same way. It's a really small group, and I have not been privy to that yet. I don't know what's going on with that. And for the NFL, when I was at the ticket, they locked me in the studio and said, "Don't you ever leave. Just cut up audio. That's all you're good for." But no, I kid. We need a little comic relief to this serious discussion we're having.
It's a good one, though.
I know
it's a good one.
It is.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to our second topic of our opening thoughts here. So we've got Nat's notes coming up in the program, which, by the way, shout out to everybody in the comments. I was worried that I did some sort of shutting the comments off, some kind of settings that I could mess up, because that is very much in the bell curve. But there are people out there commenting now, so we are good there. So deep breath, Nat's notes coming up next. What do we got going on?
Hey, all right. Well, it's the other part of what we didn't get to hit on in this first segment. The other part of the national news that I hinted at in our live open here. there is a suspension that came down on Brian Branch. So as we talk about the injuries and next man up and depth in the secondary, we're going to dive in on what's going to happen there in that group with the Lions. And then someone that may be coming back this coming Monday night to help the defense. So we'll break that all down coming up after the break.
I love it. Nat's Notes is next. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends at Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. Now follow me here. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, and no BS. Hey, so we have the same motto here on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. And I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, delivering on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. How about that? And I love that you get the same quality service you had before, but at a fraction of the price. So you're ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment required of $45 or equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. It is time for Nat's Notes, and which, by the way, I told you guys we had some fun and exciting reads coming up. So there you have it. Did I deliver or did I deliver?
Mint Mobile.
Also, I'm still listening. I just need to get more coffee because I'm running a little bit low. So I'm still here and I'm listening. I'm just grabbing more coffee. That's all.
Okay. Hey, that's all right. It's all right.
I got the order for you. I got the order for you.
You have it memorized at this point, Bradford.
This is what real coffee looks like. This is a.
Gosh.
This is
Wait, what kind of contraption do we have going on over there in the Riepma household?
All right. So this is a pour over kit, I guess you would call it. Now this is great for all of our audio listeners here, but you pour the water with the little over the beans, and that way you're not using a machine. You're letting gravity, and you get a more fulfilling flavor. So it's not going through the little tube that they use in the machines. I got all the coffee secrets, guys. I'm a coffee snob. Look out.
Wow. And it tastes better that way.
100%.
Yeah, you obviously don't have kids.
You got to do whatever's just quick and easy, right? Like
Exactly.
The coffee pot, the Keurig, whatever.
Yeah, you got the drive-through, you got the Keurig. Let's roll.
No, you can't rush perfection, Bradford Banta. You cannot rush perfection.
I can judge that by the hair. So I know.
Wow. All right, Jake, pour your coffee. All right, we will get into Nat's Notes, you guys. So to start this thing off, all right, we got into one of two things that were in the Lions' big national news headlines, which was the controversial call. But the other part of it was Brian Branch, the end of the game. In case any of you guys missed it, he is serving a 1-game suspension, so he will be out this coming Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So just a 1-game suspension for him. But if you did miss it after the game, he did punch wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster after he refused to shake hands with quarterback Patrick Mahomes. So that incident started a skirmish on the field, was not a great look, and led to this punishment. So he did admit Sunday night it was childish, but he also said, quote, "The Chiefs were trying to bully me out there." And if you did look at the tape and some replays, there was a play where Juju blocked him in the back and it was not called. And so there were some other plays out there that, you know, you can clearly see that Brian maybe was being tossed around out there and the refs decided not to call some plays that should have been. So again, not trying to blame the refs for anything here, but I'm just going to leave it at that. And so Jake, I guess I'll start with you because, we talked about this a lot on the postgame show on Sunday night. And, obviously punching the opposition is not the way to get your team going and fire under your belt per se. But, the Lions are known to be gritty. That's what they build their brand on per se. Do moments like this, you think, hurt the Lions' gritty reputation, or do you think it actually helps enforce it, if you know what I'm getting at? Like, do you think this hurts them from a national perspective? Because this did blow up. This is what I keep
100%.
seeing on my timeline all week. Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, so I would, in different levels of in this silly business of takes. I hate the word takes, but things that you believe wholeheartedly in. On the scale of 1 to 10, this is a plant your flag on a 10 for me. I think it is 100% childish. I think it is a horrible look for the Detroit Lions. It is the opposite of gritty. It's punk ass B-word behavior. And especially when it comes from a leader of the defense that is so critical to the success on the field between the whistles. And again, I won't be long-winded on this because I was pretty long-winded Sunday night on our post-game show. But again, this is a 10 for me. Like there are few things I believe in life less than this. Talking with your pads and making the moment on the field between the white lines in the 60 minutes on the clock matter in terms of instilling your will and everything like that, and your identity as grit and everything else that this team was built on. So I think it's a bad look. Frankly, even though it hurts the Lions from an on-field talent point of view, obviously, I think it was good. And hopefully I'm kind of rooting for this to be the last wake-up call that Brian Branch needs, because again, he got kicked out in Green Bay a year ago. He threw the helmet in Green Bay this year, and kind of a third strike thing where, hey, you got to get it together, man. I think Dan Campbell's comments were pretty telling of that too. So this is a bad look for the Lions. I'm glad the league stepped in, even though in the short term, it really hurts a Lions secondary that's already beat up. But man, I am 100%, and there's no gray area on this one for me.
No, look, childish, check. Yes. It was an open hand slap to Smith-Schuster. He put him on the ground. Did he flop? Yeah, he did the Kansas City flop. I mean, they're known for it. So, but I mean, I went back and did a little research, because Branch got suspended. Look, he deserved it. But you also have to think, in the first 2 seasons, this is his 3rd season, correct? Yeah, this is his 3rd season. First 2 seasons, he's been fined a total of 10 times. 10 times.
Wow.
So, and you're talking, so in 2 seasons, that's what, 34 games. So you're talking about basically a third of the time he is walking out of a game with less of a paycheck than what he should be earning because of his antics. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. That is a selfish play. It made by a selfish player. Is this going to be a wake-up call for him? No, it's not. Why? Because he is a repeat offender. Until somebody says, all right, you're not playing anymore, or you're suspended for 6 games, it's going to happen again. I'm just telling you right now. And it's going to happen this season. To what degree? I don't think it's going to happen pre or post game, but something's going to happen in between plays, or he's going to lose more money this season. The good thing about it, the money that he loses goes into a player fund that helps retired players. So Brian Branch, thank you for your donation. I appreciate it.
I knew that was coming.
What a tie-in. What a mic drop tie-in. Circle back. Oh, man.
Yeah, we all salute you, my friend.
Yeah. I had another thought, but I've got nothing to add after that. That's a walk-off right there.
But I just – you got to have a sit-down with him, and it's like a dad having a conversation with his kid. But you can't control the action of the player once he sets foot out on the field or once you're not holding his hand anymore. It's going to take the players within that locker room to sit him down and be like, look, dude, you're an important part of this defense. You're an important part of this team. You're a leader. Show it and show us that you are. Because it's just such a selfish act. And it's almost like he knew what was going to happen. Because did he appeal it? Yeah, he had every right to. It's written in the collective bargaining agreement to appeal it, just to find out what happens. And I read where Jordy Nelson, who is one of the rulers on this, I think it's Jordy, was it Derek Brooks, and I forget the other. It's another former player who is employed by the NFL and the NFL Players Association that rule on these fines and suspensions. And Jordy just happened to draw this one. So and Jordy ruled. It's like, no, it's going to be a 1-game suspension and you're not getting paid this week. So look, we're beating this dead horse until he shows that he can play with control, with violence, but within control and within the confines of the play. So he just needs to be smarter.
Yep. The last thing I was going to add too is just like, nobody's saying he's a bad player. In fact, it's because he's such a great player. I had to have this, not even debate, but an discussion with someone. Like, I don't hate Brian Branch. I think he's one of the best players on the defense in a position of need. And because of that, it just amplifies how fired up I get about it. And especially because you see, like, the good Brian Branch could be an all-pro player, and the bad Brian Branch is what we saw Sunday night when it spills past between the white lines and into the extracurricular stuff that only hurts the teams and does nothing for anything productive. So it's yeah. And again, this is where we sound like parents. Like, it's because we love Brian Branch that we're this fired up.
Correct. Well, and that's why we're saying it feels like a very selfish act on his end, because he knows the room that he's in is already depleted and guys are going down left and right. And so something like this that easily could have been him just walking off the field has now turned into something that's, they could really use him on Monday night. And so now they don't have him. They've had to sign guys to the practice squad and make some transactions this week. And they're trying, they have their hands tied a little bit. And so now Calvin Shepard has to prepare this defense in a different way coming into another big primetime matchup on Monday night. And I know you're going to get into this more in your segment, Bradford, so I guess I can save it for that. But just, I guess, in a general sense, without breaking it down too much, with a lighter room now to work with, and I can get into some of the names of guys that they signed this week as well, but how do you, with a guy with Brian Branch's talent, like, how do you prepare now for a team like Tampa Bay coming into Ford Field that is 5-1, that's elite, that's, pretty well evenly matched with a team like the Lions right now? It's just, it's hard. You're down one less guy, right? That with just there's a lot of noise right now around this Lions group, and it's just, how do you even block all this out now?
Yeah, you just look. You can't play with players that aren't on the roster. So you got to figure out a way to make this puzzle all fit together, and that's what Kelvin Shepard was hired to do, and he is going to do that. He has experience at that. Given last year's situation on the defense, he had a chance to watch Aaron Glenn work and being able to piece that puzzle week in, week out. And then you're always asking your question, what if? What if this happens? What if this happens? Now, at some point that has to stop, but they have to be reasonable what if questions. And that question is being tossed around a bunch this week, preparing and game planning for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up on Monday night?
So with Branch out, Kirby Joseph's status in limbo, and then no DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold and Avonte Maddox expected to miss Monday game as well. Some moves that they made this week were signing safety Jamie Robinson off of Kansas City's practice squad to the 53-man roster. They signed 9-year NFL vet cornerback Kendall Fuller to the practice squad. So those were two moves that they made. So while the defense takes a big hit losing BB, they're also getting a boost up front. So I'll make this positive to end my segment. Okay. Aleem McNeill is supposedly going to be back, and that is huge for the front seven. So Dan Campbell alluded to it. He shared with the media that he's hopeful to have him back from injury this week. He tore his ACL last December. It's been a long time coming. He opened his practice window a few weeks ago. It was like a 21-day window that he was able to start, and now he has been itching to get back. He's had a huge chip on his shoulder. So I'll throw to you first, BB. We've talked about Hutch's growth and what he went through battling such a tough injury. And I know you both can answer this, obviously, both, playing the game and having so much experience and watching teammates go through injuries, battling injuries yourself, having just experience with that. How much will Aleem's return, I guess, just everything he's been through, help him grow specifically and make such an impact on this team, his presence to that front seven? How will it impact the rest of that front line?
Yeah, I think it will greatly, just because he's on the field and he's playing. So he's been practicing for the last couple of weeks, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to think of it as in stages. So stage one, make it back out to practice. He's done that for the last couple of weeks. Now, stage two is taking that first play in a regular game, and he's going to do that this coming Monday night. So now stage three is getting a tackle. Stage four is just making plays all over the field or making plays up the middle. And I think that's, good for the mental side of the game, at least in the back of his mind, because there's got to be a little bit of a shadow of a doubt being like, am I as good as I once was? I'm not going to be quoting Toby Keith and all this kind of stuff, but it's once he gets out there and makes a play, he's like, okay, I'm back. And let's see how far I can push myself. Because if anything, he just adds depth to the defensive line.
Yeah, I would also add too, I think just from the morale standpoint, and there's no way to quantify that, but when you see a guy that has battled through it, taken on the rehab aggressively and done everything he can to get back out there and help the team, that first big play he makes, I mean, that is just a shot in the arm to all 11 guys out there defensively. And think of Hutch's first sack back and what that does. And it's like the old, the joking saying in basketball, not all 2-point baskets are made the same. A guy does a alley-oop or whatever, and the whole crowd's going and everything. Like, not all tackles are the same. Like, the first time Aleem McNeill makes a huge play, I think you're just going to see that defense buzzing, flying around. And, again, there's no way to quantify that, but it's certainly worth noting that a defense that needs a lift, hopefully will get it from Aleem McNeill.
Absolutely. And I think, Dan Campbell would tell you too, his message to a guy like Aleem after 10 months off is not going to be to go out there and get his first sack, after 10 months off in this first game back. Like, they're probably going to, just his workload will be not super heavy, I wouldn't think, this first game back, and just see how he feels and probably try to just keep a close eye on him, I would think. So I'm anxious to see how he is this first game back. It'll be interesting just to see how much it helps, that line, because it's been something we've watched all season long. Like, Obviously, the other edge opposite of Hutch has been a position we've been trying to see, like with Marcus Davenport out, Al-Quadin Muhammad, like how we've seen him adjust. Like that whole line has just needed a little bit of bolstering and help, and just to have a guy like Aleem back with his presence and his ability to create pressure on the quarterback, all of that, I just think is going to be a huge boost to this group. So we'll end this segment on a positive with all of that being said. So I want to kick it to BB next to give us a little preview of what we're going to see in our X's and O's segment.
Yeah, we got to figure the roster chessboard is set. So almost, but we'll see. And it's never, the hay's never in the barn until the ball's kicked off. So we'll just say that. But now, how do the Lions win the X's and O's? So that's what we're going to start talking about in the next segment.
I love it. BB's Coach's Corner is next on a live Locked On Lions Squad show. But first, today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad show is brought to you by our good friends at Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay your rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels, airlines, and even a future rent payment. Or, this is my favorite one, I use this one a lot, your next Lyft ride and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you for your entire neighborhood. I love with Built that your rent finally works for you. Again, I tell you, I make a lot of airport runs. Those Lyft credits come in handy big time that I get through Built. And you really don't have to change anything about your day-to-day. You're earning Built points that you can use on tons of different hotels, airlines, rent, and Lyft rides. So it is awesome. And take my word for it, turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt, joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. And make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. It's time for the Coach's Corner, and I kick it to Bradford Banta, who I'm sure will kick it right back to me with some sarcastic comment that I probably deserve.
No, I was just listening to the commercial, and I was like, what an interesting concept. What an interesting concept. Hey, you can earn points while paying rent.
I'm glad that my narration is just so captivaing.
Yeah, it was built right, I guess. Yeah.
My old apartment, I used Built. So I was locked in on your ad read. I know all about Built.
Okay. All right. Have you gotten any lifts anywhere?
I have, and I've earned Built points.
Using your Built points?
I have not, but they're all added up in my account, so I should use them at some point.
Celebrity endorsement from Natalie Kerwin. There we go.
Attest to this program. There we go.
Okay. All right.
All right, back to football.
Back to football. Let's start talking some X's and O's. So let's start out with the Detroit O versus the Tampa Bay D. So, and it's driven by Todd Bowles, the head coach. And Todd is known throughout the league for his defensive prowess, so to speak, and coming up with schemes. And look, here's the problem to solve. Is because Todd likes to blitz. And, Brad, how do you know he likes to blitz? Well, you know what? They had 6 sacks last week. So, and look, they got to take care of, was it Diaby? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay. And then Vita Vea and then Dean on the blitz. So you got to take care of those guys because Vea, that is a large human being that is going to plug up the middle. Yeah, and he's going to pressure the middle. And if I was Todd Bowles or if I was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'd put him in after watching last week's game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, Lions versus Chiefs, I would put him over Tate Ratledge and be like, go see what you can do, Vita. Let's see what you can do. I want to see if this rookie has learned from last week. Now, Ratledge has come along very well, but he took a step back last week and then going against Chris Jones and a couple other of the Kansas City players. I'd want to see if they plugged that hole in the pass protection. But how do you answer that with all the blitzes that are coming about? Just go tempo. I mean, Vita Vea, he's going to run out of gas quick if you make him keep breathing hard. And the way you keep breathing hard is, you're going to start out the game with a script of probably the first 10, 15 plays, something like that. These guys ought to have it committed to heart and exit, was it stage right for a little bit there, Mr. Riepma? Are we going to get another coffee? Jeez. I'd like to hold at least my co-host.
Morning.
My man's got to go. I guess he thinks I'm on a roll here, so I'm not going to kick it to him, so to speak. But to stop with the blitz, there he is. I like it. Very good.
Guy can't get any privacy around here. I just got people barging into the studio. That's on me. Okay. I don't know if you guys could hear that in the background or not. So that's just professional 101 right there.
Okay. I just saw you exit. That's all. That's it. So
stage right.
Yep. Is it stage right? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I must not have been paying my rent on time with Built there. That's probably what.
Go build those points, pal. But no. So just look, just condensed splits and then motion, and then the key, because Goff is a smart enough quarterback, and by if you go tempo, you go condensed splits, and you motion, Goff is going to be able to figure out what Tampa is doing and where they're going to be coming from, because it's going to force them to show their hands. So it's in the Lions' DNA just to establish the run early, with duos, with the inside runs, with Sonic and Knuckles, and just loading that box up and max protecting, and then also hitting the quick routes with Amon-Ra, with Laporta, with the swing routes or the angle routes or the flat routes by Sonic and Knuckles. And then because they will be able to create creases that way. And it showed in that first drive versus Kansas City, because that thing was a thing of beauty until, the pass to Goff. They moved the ball very efficiently. And I think they were able to, they got deflated a little bit because they didn't get in the end zone. And they were able to put a little Band-Aid over that hole in the balloon. But that Band-Aid eventually came off. So, all right, then, okay, Brad, let's say Detroit Lions get to third down. How do we want to answer that? Slide to Vea. Because you know that more than likely they're going to put him over Ratledge. Help the rookie out. And then chips, quick game, with Amon-Ra and Laporta. So there's, and then how are you going to take a shot? Hopefully J-Mo can build off of last week and just that maturity of the player. And I know we talked about it post game, just his maturity as a player, because I thought he responded very well this past game versus Kansas City. Now let's start stacking games on top of each other. And then that momentum helps everybody else.
For sure. Bradford, you've been in plenty of NFL locker rooms from player coach standpoint. I want to go back to what you said just about that individual matchup with Tate Ratledge and Vita Vea potentially. When a coach sees the matchup, whether it be a matchup nightmare or a matchup that's very favorable, like in this case that we expect it to be, how much, and I know you probably can't put a percentage on it, but how much do you dictate that component of the game plan specifically to a matchup versus, hey, this is what we do well as a team. This is kind of our quote unquote base system versus like, here's a matchup we can exploit.
Yeah. So I will approach it from the Detroit Lions point of view when just trying to answer this question or answering this question. You see and you anticipate what Tampa Bay is going to try to do because Tampa is looking for the proverbial fish. Is what I called it whenever I was coaching. You always look for the weak link, and you start with protection and then work your way out. Their weak link right now is in the middle with Tate Ratledge. Detroit knows it. They see it, and at the end of the week, Dan's going to get the team together, and they're going to have offense, defense, and special teams keys to victory. And one of them, I guarantee you, one of the keys to victory this game is going to be keeping Goff upright. And then you can have subtitles and all that underneath that. But in the offensive line room, that's where Fraley's going to come into play in designing schemes to help Ratledge, whether it be the center or the tackle helping out or the tight end lining up in the backfield and just chipping. But one of the keys to victory is going to be keeping Goff upright this week, just so he can pick apart the Tampa Bay secondary and linebacker crew. So to answer your question, yes, it is important that those type of mismatches are taken care of, and you can, stick your finger in the dike to keep the water from flowing. Does that answer your question, Jake?
Yes.
Okay. I got you. So now, let's just talk about their D versus the Tampa Bay O. What drives this offense? Baker Mayfield. He drives their offense. He is shown week in, week out. He was very efficient this past game. I think he was 17 of 23, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. They're going to have to, with a couple of explosives, 34 and 45-yard touchdown pass. They're going to have to keep Tampa from getting explosives, at least keep it to one or none. If they can do that, then they're going to have a shot at winning this game. And how do you do that? Well, they're going to end up playing quarters coverage and it's going to be very basic in the secondary because it's well known, and we've already talked about it, that they're going to have the possibly all starting 4 defensive backs that are going to be in the starting backfield for the Detroit Lions did not start the season or they possibly weren't even here game 1. So you have to keep things very basic. And then that's where the pass rush and the second level with the linebackers, their play has to be stepped up just a little bit more to help cover up for what they know is in the defensive backfield, which is a little, it's hurting right now.
Yeah, I would say Baker's playing at an MVP level, and it's pretty impressive. Obviously, look at their record in and of itself. That's most important. But what he's been able to do with guys like Godwin out and more recently Evans on both wide receivers. And I know I kind of joked about it Sunday night in our post-game show that it might come down to Tampa Bay's backup wide receivers having a big role against the Lions backup secondary. And that's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. And look, I think that red zone is going to be key in this game. The Lions have to come up with touchdowns. That was something that they didn't get down to the red zone enough versus Kansas City to turn them into touchdowns, but you cannot come away with field goals there. Because I think the Lions are number 2 in scoring offense, and Tampa's number 4 or 5, somewhere around there. I think it's like 31 to in Tampa Bay is averaging like 27 points a game, somewhere around there. And yeah, and then I talked about the explosives because Baker Mayfield does not care. At least he plays like he does not care who is out there at the wide receiver position. If you are open, he's going to be throwing it to you. So you have to take care of those guys and then stretching the field vertically. And then we were talking about on the third medium, as far as the Lions offense is concerned, no free runners to Goff. You cannot have that. Bowles is going to design some blitzes, and he understands because he has a history going against Fraley. He has a history going against Johnny Morton because both of these coaches have been in the league long enough to where he can establish a game plan that's going to try to attack what he thinks is coming. So we have to button that up early in the game and do not give them any momentum that leaks later into the game. We have to establish the momentum to start. We have to maintain, and we have to finish this game.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to go now. Yeah, ready to go. I love that. Natalie, Kerwin, anything to add other than you're ready to run through a brick wall as I am?
I was gonna say he's had his matcha.
Yeah,
like you said. I mean, BB, you always explain it perfectly. But yeah, I mean, finish plays, execute in the red zone, which is what they did not do against Kansas City, and just clean up what you weren't able to do at Arrowhead. I mean, these guys know what needs to be done. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, with two of their studs and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still, I mean, they were inactives to watch from last game. If they're not available and the Lions playing with guys that, like you said, didn't start the first game of this season, it's going to be interesting to see that matchup in itself. And so it's just going to come down to who's going to be able to execute better. And that's what the Chiefs were able to do against the Lions. And, I mean, I'm just anxious for Monday night. I just wanted to get here already. I'm ready for it. All right.
Hey, Jake, can you put up Honolulu BS latest comment there?
Yes. This one?
Yeah. It's a levy. Do you know what a levy is?
DeAndre Levy, former linebacker for the Detroit Lions.
No.
No,
it's a ground structure meant to keep water out.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I knew it had something to do. I knew it had something to do with water. And
I'm from Louisiana. You got to have levees because everything's below sea level.
Oh, yeah. See, there we go. We always learn something on the Locked On Lions squad show. All right. One more segment, which means one more commercial. Don't go anywhere. We tie a bow on it next. This episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety picks than anyone else, and that's of August 2025. Pretty recent. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but everyday drives, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. I feel so bad for all of the audio listeners that just they have to just listen to the pain on my face instead of see it like our visual viewers here. But no, I'm sure I'm going to get a talking to. I'm putting way too much attention into these reads. But final segment, guys. Here we go. One other quick note. Did anybody? So Tez Johnson out of Oregon now is a receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had the long touchdown, did the backflips and everything. And did anyone see his interview when so Baker Mayfield throws a touchdown and the crowd starts chanting MVP, and Tez thought the MVP chants were for him, and he's like, why is everyone chanting MVP? It's my first game. But he then was later informed that no, those MVP chants were for Baker Mayfield, not the wide receiver making his season debut. But I love those types of stories. They're all humans out there, you know.
Yeah.
That's the attitude you gotta have, though.
Yeah, I'm the MVP. I don't care.
I'm the man. Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah, I gotta walk around like you're that dude.
That's right. That's right. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, guys. Keys to the game. I think we've touched on most of them. So let's just get right into our predictions. We're coming up near the end anyways. I guess we can revisit Sunday's predictions, but not for very long here. Nat had 28-24, BB 31-30. Obviously, I thought 35-31, all in favor of the Lions. So it's a lower scoring game than we all thought. What do we see in our crystal ball for Monday night, Natalie Kerwin?
All right. Well, the Lions have not lost back-to-back games since October of 2022.
Whoa.
Real stat. Yes.
Wow.
Let's look that up. Yep. Dan just brought it up in his press conference within the last hour. So I just saw this.
Man.
He said the reason we haven't lost back-to-back games is because our players hate to lose, which is true. That goes for any athlete. No one likes to lose. But so I believe the Lions are going to let this happen to them this week. So I believe the Lions are going to take this one. I'm going to say 31-28. It's going to be close because the Lions are averaging 31.8 points per game. The Bucs are averaging 27.5. So I'm going to keep it right around there, 31-28.
I like it.
Okay. I like it. Very nice. So I was very close to what you were going to pick, Nat.
Okay.
Very, very close.
Okay.
So, yeah. The only difference for me, I got 31. So, but I was going to go 26.
Not 30?
Nope, not 30. Hey, they lost. So we got to switch it up a little bit.
I like that. I like that.
You got to change the mojo.
Okay.
You guys
I changed my mojo this morning. My Joe this morning. That's what I changed. I changed it. I didn't change the Mo. I changed the Joe. That's right.
I got the pour over going for the Joe, and I think the Lions are going to pour it on. How about that? I really do think this game's going to be on the offense, and Dan Campbell said it before Kansas City. It's going to take 30 points to win this game, and he was spot on with that. And the notion of somewhat of the onus being on the offense and taking ownership of recognizing the moment that defense is banged up, the offense has to go out and score. I think not that there's ever a game you go into saying, hey, we don't need to score, but more of a concerted effort to be efficient with drives. And that was one of the other things from Kansas City. There weren't a lot of possessions in that game. There was a couple of each team had some long, time-consuming, clock-eating drives. And, it's hard to dictate that, of course, until you're actually into the ebbs and flows of that specific game. But I got the Lions scoring 38 points. Baker Mayfield obviously playing at an MVP level against a banked-up defense. So I got 38-35. Lions win it on a walk-off field goal. Man. Shout out Jake Bates.
Talk about no defense. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Jake Bates, I'm glad you brought that up. I was looking at something. I saw something on the internet today. Okay. So, NFL kickers. So, let's see. NFL kickers are 77 for 108, which is 71.3 on 50-plus yard field goals this year. 108 50-plus yard field goals have been tried.
Exactly what jumped out to me. That sounds like a lot.
That is a ton. That is a ton. So they're 4 of 8. They're 4 of 8 from 60-plus. So they're 50% from 60-plus. And then, I don't know how they pulled up this because the NFL is older than that, but what it said was NFL's first 86 years of existence, there were only 4 60-plus yard field goals made. There are 4 this year.
Wow, the year of the kicker.
Hey, I
Good to
know.
be a kicker.
Want to be putting points on the board. That's what I mean, and that's what I never understood is why they changed or why they switched to a K-ball. Because the kickers were getting too good. Back in, I think it was 99, 98, whenever they made the switch to the K-ball.
Yeah.
And it didn't make any sense. And then the league finally figured out, in the competition committee, they're like, oh, points are good.
Yeah. BB, I got a special teams question for you. I know we're out of time, but how much does the narrower hash marks play into those long kicks? Because I'm thinking of a guy like Brandon Aubrey for the Cowboys. Like, they get to the 50-yard line, they're in field goal range, and you look at the college game, the hash marks are so much wider, and I don't know exactly how much wider, but an NFL kicker quite literally can just kick the ball straight because the hash marks are in line with the goalpost. I mean, I know it's not an exact science, but does that play into it?
Oh, it does, because I mean, just pure geometry. Just think about it.
Right.
With a wider hash, you're not going to be trying a further field goal because the ball has to travel further. Correct? So
Shortest, what's the geometry saying? Shortest distance between 2 points?
2 points is a straight line.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you have there, with probably, I don't know, 5 degrees difference. If he's kicking from the left hash and he's got, let's say he makes it in the middle of the goalpost, then that may be, let's just say 2 degree difference of, I don't know. We'd have to draw it up just for me to explain it.
Get our protractors out. Is that what they use?
Ooh, there you go. Nice term.
I was never a big math guy. It's never really a big anything guy. I was on academic. Thank you, Ned. I was on academic probation at Northwestern. Somehow found a way to stay eligible. It was big.
Wow.
Oh yeah, first term and everything.
Journalism guy through and through. Everything else.
Yeah. 100%. Anyways, I think that's a great place to stop. We are overtime. Hopefully the Lions win in regulation on Monday Night Football. We'll have our post-game show then. Final words, Bradford Banta, Natalie Kerwin, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this team responds to all the outside noise that has been occurring this week via the call that was made in their first drive and then the Brian Branch incident at the end of the game. I want to see how this team that's going to be playing on Monday night responds, and that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yep. Bouncing back off this loss, the response, and being back home always gives you a little bit of a boost. So in prime time with your home fans, I think will do wonders for this group. So I'm excited to see how Monday night plays out and excited to be back with you guys, hopefully talking about a win on Monday.
Love it. I love it. Love it. My final word, I think the Lions are wearing their black uniforms. Am I correct in that?
Yes. Motor City Muscle uniforms. Is that what we call them?
I believe so. Yes. The white ones are the Detroit 313s. I don't know what the classic Honolulu blues are. The all blues are the blueberries. I don't know.
Blueberries and the marshmallows I thought were the white ones.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. They need Bradford's like,
they got the black uniform, you got the white uniform, and you got the blue uniform. Let's go play ball. Let's go play ball.
He's like,
I'll let y'all handle the marketing. I'll let y'all handle the marketing of it, okay?
No, Nat is our resident fashion insider.
He doesn't care. Bradford doesn't care.
I love it. All right, join us post game. We're out of here. It's the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you Monday night.